Kaixo, Egunon, hola, buenos días a todas. Hoy nos tomamos un café con el director de la película Lurker, una película que se incluye en la sección Zabaltegui Tabacalera y compite por el premio del mismo nombre. Una película que tras su paso por diferentes festivales se presenta aquí en San Sebastián en calidad de premier española. Y hoy contamos aquí con nosotras, con el director de la película, Alex Russell. Hi.
Hi,
Thank you for being here and for sharing the film with us.
I'm so happy to be here.
So we always start with the beginning of the films and the projects. So I like to know, how did you came up with the idea of this film, and why did you wanted to talk about this and make this film?
Yeah, I think when I started, it was less ambitious as a project, and it was more a feeling that I wanted to write about than, oh, this is going to be a coherent idea that is complete and is a movie. I think it was more of a feeling I had sort of about groups of young men and how they relate to one another and how they position themselves among one another. So the setting of the music industry was kind of, in a way, just sort of a very clear, extreme way to show the hierarchies at play. Um, and let's see, it was probably March of 2020 that I started writing, and which is obviously right after COVID started, and I had to sort of um, be isolated.
Yeah.
And in a way, this movie is very much about isolation and connection and um, what it's like when a lot of isolated people have trouble communicating with each other. You know, almost every line in the movie is some kind of lie. And it's a social lie between men. I saw in your notebook uh, a Devil Wears Prada sticker,
Yeah,
right on
yeah,
the
yeah,
front.
yeah.
Um, so
There's one here. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's important because it, I've talked about influences on this movie before, but that actually is one of them. And in a way, they are very similar movies because there's one person with sort of the power in a media creative organization who can, it's all about who's going to Paris, right?
Yeah.
And in my movie, it's a little bit similar in like there's one character who has that same kind of power that doesn't have to be spoken all the time. It's more of a quiet, powerful um, glance that could do anything, and they can just point at someone uh, and elevate them.
Yeah.
So I think that sort of pettiness, even like among women, and jealousy in like high school has been explored, like in movies like that and movies like Mean Girls, stuff like that. Um, but the thesis of the movie is almost that young men are worse,
Okay.
um, or as just as jealous, just as petty. And I think it was something that I felt so weird, sort of shame about observing and maybe participating in, and I also found it very funny. So I wonder how, especially here in Spain, people might watch this and laugh or not laugh at certain things because humor is such a,
That's true.
regionally specific kind of thing. So it's been so interesting traveling around and showing this sort of hyper American movie
Yeah, that's
to
true. Hmm.
different people because you can learn a lot by picking up on what are the universal things? What are the things that every culture sees and like picks up on? What are the more specific things that maybe is too American or
Yeah.
something? That's a long answer, but
No, no, but
that's when I
that's, yeah,
started
yeah, yeah.
writing.
And you were saying this about a feeling, and
Yeah.
this is something that when you want to talk about the film, sometimes it happens. Like it's a feeling that it's always like surrounding every character. So how did you write that? Like how was the writing process of the film? Because I think it's really, yeah, I don't know the word in English at this time, but yeah,
Well,
really specific. Like yeah.
yeah, I think there is sort of a tone that permeates the movie that is, in a way, very consistent and very true to the feeling that I started with. And I think I just used that feeling, though I may not, now you can look at reviews or you can look at, articles about this movie, or I can even articulate certain things about it that I may not have been able to when I started writing, and it was more of a germ, it was more of something I wanted to get out
Mm.
of me. So I think it was just that as I was writing, the more I felt that feeling and the shame around it, and sort of this weird disgust, and also I had to be making myself laugh.
Mm.
I think that was sort of the North Star that guided me through the whole writing process. And I was really happy to find that when I came around to directing the film, it was still that all I had was this sort of indescribable feeling that when I was watching a scene on the monitor, I knew that it was either consistent with that feeling or not. And that was my kind of biggest advantage, if anything.
And you come from other audiovisual disciplines. This is your first feature.
Hmm.
So, how was it different to direct a feature film, or it wasn't, and for you it was kind of the same? How did you approach it, or?
Well, I come from TV writing, which is a very collaborative process. So is directing, but I suppose the difference is that I was playing a supporting role. As a writer on a part of a TV show, you your job is to come up with ideas that someone else likes, mostly one other person. Um, but you don't decide on anything, uh, which is so different from doing your own movie. In that it was the first time that I had to that there was no one behind me to make the executive decision, and I had to say, well, we're going to shoot from this angle. This is what feels right to me. And I think all that I had was, again, that sensor of, is this what feels right to me? Right? And then that's how it makes a consistent thread from beginning to end. Because that was the thing where on the day of shooting, I could say, I'm looking at the monitor, and this is what I was going for. Um, and so I think it's a lot more stressful and a lot more rewarding, because if you do sort of hit the nail and make the thing that feels true to the feeling that you started with, then it's extremely satisfying, because it's like, this was just something I couldn't
Yeah,
articulate,
when
and I've articulated it
mm.
without having to articulate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, yeah,
you know
that's really difficult. Like so.
but it really feels like someone could watch this movie and understand at various different layers of understanding, depending on the viewer. It's also interesting what people take away from it, but some people watch it and they're just like, "Oh, that was a creepy movie." You know, some people watch it and they're like, "That was crazy," or whatever, and then other people understand what is really going on, and what the movie is trying to say, and what questions it leaves people with, about themselves and about people they know. So I think hopefully it puts people in a reflective state. But I, you know, going to these festivals, like, retroactively, I'm very scared for the version of myself that started this movie, because what I didn't know is that you are going to have to talk about it so many times as though you as though you made the thing that you were trying to make. And I'm so lucky that I actually did, because there's so many things that could have gone wrong. I could have, messed it up. I could have cast the wrong people, hired the wrong people. But then I would still have to come here and say it was my dream to do this and my dream to make this, even though it's half of what it should be. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure people do that. I'm
Yeah.
sure people come in and they know it's not what they had hoped for. But I think I'm very lucky, especially on a first feature level, to be like, this is what I was going for. Some parts I think are more interesting than I had hoped, or in sort of the elements that I couldn't have controlled,
Okay.
like a more subtle performance or a moment that we couldn't have come up with unless we switched this location or that. Um, but yeah, now I'm rambling.
No, 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 but yeah, yeah, but it's interesting. And we were talking about festivals, and that San
Yeah,
Sebastian was your first festival last year, like by chance,
yeah.
and you are here now. So, and the interaction with the audience, how important you think festivals are for first features and like, yeah, and the promotion and the the promotion of the films.
I can't say what it means for promotion, but I can say that, you know, festivals are in a way the best audiences you're ever going to get. In that you'll have, or for me at least,
Okay.
like, some of these festivals have thousands of seats, right? And it's so many people who are just here to discover something, you know. Whereas like if my movie's out in the States right now and it's in theaters that are sort of a normal theater that you would go to, at most a couple hundred seats.
Mm.
But to see it with such a crowd, it's like sometimes it feels like a concert or something, and it feels like a truly like a big communal event. Um, so it's extremely rewarding, especially coming from doing TV where you don't go into people's houses and
Yeah, that's true.
see them watch it. You just get you get an email about it from
Yeah.
someone. So I personally love it, and I think I've had such a charmed journey of getting to do it. It's also like I've made so many friends and gotten to meet other directors and hear their stories of trying to. I feel such a kinship towards anyone who's coming to these festivals. I'm like, wow, that's so amazing that you were able to go from idea to now it's playing, and because I know what that takes,
Yeah.
I guess.
So yeah, hopefully everything is going to be great in tonight's premiere. I think it's going to be great. And yeah, thank you for
Thank you
being
so much.
here and sharing the film. Y ahora os dejamos con un pequeño clip de la película. Es que ricasco.
I guess that means you're like.
So where did he find you at? A meet and greet or something?
No. He came into the store I work at. You make music?
Yeah, sometimes, bro.
You should come to the show tonight.
Is this how you envisioned it?
This is the crib.
You should try to make yourself useful.
Love you.
If you want to stick around.
You got a camera. You know how to press record.
What the?
You're like my hero, man. You're always on Oliver's Instagram.
Ollie, say hi. Calling this man Ollie already? You sound like one of his bitches. You're like my best friend. I mean that.
Yo, get back, bro.
It's a detail
Walk
shot.
back, walk back. Farm boy, man.
Ollie? I guess that means you're not my best friend.
You gotta head out.
What? Best friend.
Yeah, I think you should just take a break.
Best friend.
What's the difference between love and obsession?
You changed my life. But you took that from me. And I can't let that happen again.
What's the difference between love and obsession?
I know what you're doing.
Where is he?
Maddie, can you please put the big-ass porno camera down? Please don't take it away.
Everyone around you. We all want the same thing.
What are you doing? Go!
I just want it more.